Okay.
Fair enough.
Man, we gotta get right up to Chuck and Steve.
It's rude to look at your computer.
8:59, look at that. You must have set it towards nuclear time.
Can somebody tell me it's rude to look at your computer? You should watch the board up there.
Yeah, that's who told me that. I told you that, because while there's someone out there saying
Here, I
that.
got it all.
You know, I think that's what they're saying, because you couldn't, because you're not paying attention.
Please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair.
Good morning. Approval of county board minutes. So moved. I have a motion, I need a second.
Second.
Any more discussion? If not, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Any additions or deletions today?
Not at this time.
I need a motion and a
So
second.
moved, Mr. Chair.
I have a motion, I need a second.
Second.
I have a second. Any more discussion? If not, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Solid waste. Chuck, Steve, what do you have for us this morning?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, everyone.
Good morning.
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 We have an abatement for your consideration today. The Department of Public Works is charged with the implementation, carrying out the Morrison County Solid Waste Ordinance. As a part of that process, the staff works with property owners where we may have violations of the ordinance. We try to bring them into compliance through soft techniques and working for volunteer compliance. From time to time, that process does not work. And in this situation, we have a violation of our ordinance that has not been abated. Our ordinance authorizes and allows, after providing evidence to the board where you believe the violation exists, to authorize the department to move forward and abate that. And following that, then the cost of that is put on as a lien and a special assessment to recover it. So I was hoping that Brian could talk about the legal process that's followed, and that Chuck could take you through. I'm sure you'll want to hear the evidence and what we have going on out there, so that you can make the decision on authorizing us to proceed and adopt the resolution that is included in your packets.
Members of the board, we do have a process in place to deal with these types of situations whenever they develop from time to time, and I believe we did one earlier this summer, so this is not a new process. Essentially what happens is we work with the property owner to try to gain compliance, and if that's not feasible or possible, then we do send notice to the property owner by US mail that we're going to have a hearing in front of the county board. I did send that notice in this matter to the property owner, Ms. Meacham. I did that the first week of December, and so that notice went out to her, informing her that we had a hearing today at 9 a.m. And so due process does require notice to the landowner and opportunity to be heard. So I don't know if anyone here is here today as a representative of the property owner, or if the owner herself is here, but if there is someone, they would have the opportunity to speak to you and present their own facts and arguments for your consideration.
Okay. Then, Brian, would you want Chuck to move forward with what he's found as violations to the ordinance?
I think that would be appropriate. We would present our information to the board, and then the property owner would have an opportunity to speak if they wish.
Morning, board.
Morning, Chuck.
Good morning, Chuck.
Staff, thank you. And in somewhat in the answer, or the answer that posed by Brian was that it is, the property is owned by Miss Bonnie Lou E. Meacham, but her daughter Judy Swenson is here today, and she would be available to say a few words or answer any questions. But in general, this started back in May, and we were notified of a burial site on a piece of property, did a site visit, and that did trigger a notice of violation, because at the time there wasn't any contact with the individual, with the owner. The owner did speak to me on June 14th. We did chat about it. It quickly progressed, though, that she was in a nursing home at the time, and that there were authorized representatives that would be better situated to deal with it. One of those is her daughter, Judy Swenson, and then Judy Altrichter is one of the realtors that has kind of been helping foster this program, or to try to get through this process, I should say. So after June 14th, we looked at what possibilities, if there was going to be a cleanup. There were some of the debris was taken off of the site that was mobile. Those were like small boat carcasses and things like that. But that was really kind of the extent of the initial cleanup situation. In discussions, we have been in contact with the representatives ongoing. They've been very helpful in trying to get through the process. I mean, you're aware of kind of the situation regarding how it would work in the final process. So if we were to move forward, we did have to do our process requires certain steps be taken. So we did do a second notice of violation. Continuously was talking to the landowners' representatives throughout the process, and they were well aware of that. And have always, wanted to work with us. It was a matter of the situation ultimately. So, and having gone through the process and looking to see if there was any other means in which to accomplish this, there wasn't at this point, and we're here today for that. So, would you like to hear anything from
Well, I
us?
guess what I would like to do is to see if
Swenson?
any of the commissioners have any questions for you two, for Chuck or Steve, and then at that time, once we're done with that, then I'll ask if there's a representative, such as Judy, to come forward.
Okay.
So-
Could we, Chuck, could you describe the violations that we have?
sure.
And do you have the pictures?
There are a number of violations. If you were to run down the list, our subsections, subsection 3 of the ordinance, are subsection 5 and subsection 6. And generally speaking, those are violations of storage and disposal of burying, collecting, burying, and storage of solid waste on land without compliance in the solid waste. And each one of them kind of carries it. Some are very specific about how long it should be, no more than 30 days and things like that. But those are the primary subsections from our particular ordinance. But in this case, the Minnesota state rules would also be in play as well, which there's 2 of those ordinances for very similar types of things about storage and disposal of solid waste without proper authorization on land. And if you look at these pictures, there are things that do qualify completely as solid waste. If one were to somehow sort, there'd be less there, but it's really gonna be down to how much is really buried below all of this that is really gonna probably cause the greater consternation and requirement for the cleanup using some sort of equipment versus trying to do something by hand.
Gentlemen, do you have any questions to Chuck or Steve at this time?
Well, Mr. Chair, and generally in this kind of a case, the costs of this type of procedure are put against the land or against the property to recoup what we need to. I'm just wondering if we would be involving STS or to remove as much of this as we can to make it as less costly as possible, just throwing that out there since we have an STS group.
We have, in the past, attempted to utilize STS, if that makes sense. I guess if we're gonna end up bringing in quite a bit of equipment to have to remove this, there might be some things that prohibited materials that can't go to the landfill, we may utilize them to pull that out, but that would probably be the extent of it.
Okay, just wanted to make sure we keep the costs as low as we can.
Yes.
Any more questions at this time?
Mr. Chair, Chuck, at the very start of your presentation, which you did a very good job of, thank you very much. I just want to point out, you said burial site. We are talking about garbage here. Just need to know. Just need to make sure we're on the right page.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could use,
Or junk, whatever. But nonetheless, I'm just
We believe it's a
double-checking.
solid waste
Very
disposal
good.
site.
It's kind of weird, burial sites. Nonetheless,
Any more
good to be
questions?
sure.
noted entirely, so I'm not sure.
Any more questions at this
you.
time?
Mr. Chair, we had talked about this at our planning session, and so we've been informed about it, and I'm okay with that.
Okay, and at this time, if The representative, I believe it's Judy Swenson for, be Miss Meacham, if she'd like to come forward, say anything. If you do, have a chair and state your name for the record, please.
Judith Swenson. Jeff, I've been divorced, but I assure you my ex-husband is still walking around. There's nobody.
Good clarification.
No, it's a 80-year-old farm equipment, things like that, barrels, that type of stuff. And it's just that with the passing of my father 5 years ago unexpectedly, and then I moved here to take care of my mom. And now it's a matter of she's in the nursing home and I need to help her close this so that she can move on and move past it. She's upset that I've left my farm and my home down there and I stay at the farm to make sure it's not broke into and everything. We have a buyer for it. We're unable to sell it until this is cleaned up, but she doesn't have the money to lay out to get it cleaned up so that we can get it closed. And so she can put that aside. And so we wanna be able to I wanna be able to take care of it so I can give her that closure in order to get it moved on.
Absolutely.
Fast.
Yep.
Any
I
more
understand
questions at all, gentlemen? All right,
Mr. Chairman, previously, the issue had been raised on how the lien falls within priorities of payment. Deb had some information.
In the statute, it talks about a medical assistance lien is inferior to a lien for taxes or special assessments or other lien that would be superior to the perfected lien of a judgment creditor. So those aren't my words, that's the statute words, but it verified what it is we were talking about.
So we would
last.
expect that we would recover our costs for the abatement.
Yeah,
Mr. Chair, and that means that this cleanup is priority prior to any medical
Yeah.
assistance claims.
and that's what we had assumed,
we talked
or we
about,
talked
I just
about,
wanted
but
to
just
be sure.
verification now.
Because
so
those
that's-
technical terms you just read,
Yes.
Deb, kind of,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, what does that mean? Very good.
Yeah, because after, she's been there almost 3 years in the care center, so anything that's
Oh,
left
okay.
after the sale will all
Oh,
go
it's
to the
gone.
care.
To that,
Yeah,
yeah.
each month she writes out a check out of her social security and her pension for what she needs to pay. So and she'll have $95 left at the end of each month from her stuff that she's allowed to keep. But I take care of any of her needs above and beyond that now. So, yeah, once the sale of the house is done, there won't even be enough to cover what she owes the care center now after that.
Sure.
So that was the one thing too, is she wanted to make sure, and we had gotten a quote from Hangle Construction, that was earlier.
Correct.
And then I called them to see if we could take care of it, and then once the house was sold, we could pay them without going through this, and Heather at Hangle was very, very rude and said that there was absolutely no way that they were going to lay out manpower and equipment and stuff when she had plenty of jobs that they could work on and get paid instantly. So that's when I, again, turned to Chuck and said, this isn't gonna be an option.
So how we will do this is, if the board adopts the resolution, then when conditions are proper, we will conduct the cleanup. We more than likely will use a private contractor to do the work. We will make those payments along with the administrative costs that the department incurs. The property owners are allowed to pay that. We will bill that to them, invoice it to them. If it's not paid within timeframes that we'll establish, then we'll bring it forward and we'll hold another hearing for the assessment, that type of thing, so that it can be placed on the tax rolls.
gentlemen, for more discussion, I need a motion and a second to authorize the resolution for the county to enter the Bonnie Lou Meacham to remove unauthorized deposits of accumulated solid waste at the landowner's expense.
So moved.
I have a motion, I need a second.
Second.
I have a second. Any more discussion, gentlemen? If not, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
trying.
you, Judy.
Thank you. Yep.
Happy New Year.
Thanks for coming in.
Public Health. Good
Good
morning.
morning, Michelle.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I have four requests for board approval today regarding our licensing of our establishments. So our first one is just to go ahead and approve the abstract of licenses as attached to your RBA.
Gentlemen, I need a motion.
So moved.
Second. I got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? If not, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you. Our second one is to approve, several of our establishments need approval contingent upon the payment in full of the property taxes. They have until the end of the year to get those taxes paid, so once those are paid, we'll go ahead and issue the licenses then.
Okay,
All right, I need a motion for more discussion.
I'll make a motion,
All
then I
right,
have
need
a
a
question.
second. All right,
Those people, have they been notified?
Oh, yes, they've been
Okay.
notified, and they've
Okay.
made, and several of them made a call
Okay.
for arrangements, and then some will pay hopefully by the end of the day today. Yep.
Okay.
any more discussion, gentlemen? If not, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, our third one is to approve, toward the end of the year here, we had a flurry of activity with changing of ownership. So we had 4 businesses change ownership, so I ask you to approve those change of ownership licenses.
All right, gentlemen, I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I need a
Second.
second for more discussion. Any discussion, gentlemen? If not, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
All right, thank you. And our last one today is that we have a new business here in town, so I ask that you approve the license for Papa Murphy's here in Little Falls.
So move.
I got a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
Another pizza place.
Yes.
People love pizza, don't they?
They sure do.
Any more discussion, gentlemen? If not, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
All right, thank you.
That was
Well,
it.
thank you,
Have a
very
good
kind
year.
of you. Happy New Year.
Good year.
Assessor isn't here, I see.
Are we early? Is that why?
Yeah, we're moving.
That's why.
How about let's do auditor's report?
We can do
Why wouldn't we?
Yeah, do we have the auditor here?
that. We certainly do.
All right.
Good morning, Mr.
Good
Chair,
morning.
gentlemen.
Morning, Deb.
Good morning, Deb.
Deb,
Let's see what you have for us here.
I have a couple of items.
All right.
First one is very easy. Need approval for the board chair, myself, and the county administrator to sign the engagement letters for the state auditor to do our audit again for the county and for the RDFA.
For more
So
discussion,
moved.
I need a motion. I have a motion. I need a second. I have a second. Any more discussion?
They don't waste much time, do they? They do it fast.
Well, Mr. Chair, just have a little bit of discussion. This is from an auditor, and in all respect, Honorable Dwayne Johnson, Chair. From 2016, doesn't ring a bell to me. It seems like it's wrong.
This is RDFA,
Yes.
right?
It's for both the county and the RDFA.
Yep, I'm chair of the
And it's
RDFA.
for the
Oh,
year.
Development
I
Finance
gotcha.
Authority.
Very good.
Yeah.
Understood. Thank you. See, needed,
it's all about clarification.
that's all I
Very
needed.
good questions.
Didn't understand it.
Now, were you questioning the honorable or?
No, no, not yet. No, 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 no. No, not at all. That was not it at all.
Any more discussion, gentlemen? If not, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Second item, I'm asking to have the board approve procedures for a countywide handling counterfeit money policy and form that we would use throughout the county due to an increase that we've seen in counterfeit money flowing through the county itself and countywide. This was due to a request from the Little Falls Police Department that we put some kind of procedures in place so that they can see what's going on, maybe help us track the trends that are going on and figure out what's happening.
And
Gentlemen.
Mr. Chair, if I could, it's not an overwhelming issue.
Nope,
by any
not
means. I don't wanna
overwhelming
make
by
it sound
any
like that, but
means.
yeah, like, 1 or 2 is enough to make you.
All it takes is one. I need a motion to approve the new procedures for handling for more counterfeit money.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
Mr.
Not-
Chair, we discussed this in a planning session,
Yep.
and to address these issues, there has to be a procedure in place, which was reviewed by the county attorney and gone through the appropriate process, so.
Any more discussion, gentlemen? Not those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, gentlemen. And we have warrants.
Should we motion to pay the bills?
I would so move.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second. Any more discussion? This will be a roll call vote. Commissioner Jelinski.
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson.
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson.
Aye.
Commissioner Mauer.
Aye.
Myself, aye. Motion carried.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Deb.
Thank you,
Have a
Deb.
good New Year.
Happy New Year. And I would see we have the assessors. If you'd like to come forward, please.
Come on up.
There's a couple of abatements here, it looks like.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Board. I have two abatement applications to bring before you this morning. One is concerning a parcel that should be deleted and therefore not taxed. And the second one is concerns a property, concerns the linking of a parcel for homestead purposes. I would recommend approval of both.
So moved.
All right, I got a motion. I need a
Second.
second. Any more discussion?
Mr. Chair, and the first one you says, what, it doesn't exist, or what, was it mislabeled, or?
Let's see, the details of it now are interesting, but it was a plat, a new plat that was made, and where the lands, all the parcels were lying, and the overlapping, I think that's.
So there was an overlapping, so there was something that supposedly was created that doesn't exist, is that what you're saying?
As I understand it, there's a
Okay,
parcel
I'm
that,
just,
yeah.
it sounded odd to me. Okay.
Yeah, actually, it was my parcel, I'm deleting it.
Because you don't wanna pay taxes for the
You
rest
had
of your
to bring
retirement?
this up, didn't you?
I gotta get all
thought
I
we were
can
just
in the
gonna
last
slide
day,
right through it.
we're both leaving.
That's a real possibility.
I wouldn't let him get away.
They're on to me.
I understand.
Actually, no, I don't own this, so everybody knows that.
That's a good thing.
So, and I would recommend approval of both.
Any more discussion, gentlemen? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That's it, Glenn?
Well, I would like to thank you, Morrison County, for the past 40 years. It's been a ride. So, that's-
So
Thank you.
what's happening, Glenn? What's happening? Are you leaving us?
I've got 4 grandchildren at home now at my place.
Oh, wow.
Thank you, though.
Thank
Glenn.
you.
Thank you for
Happy New
everything
Year.
you did,
Thank
Glenn,
you very,
for all
very
the
kind.
years.
Gene.
All right.
Okay,
Next time.
okay.
And don't be a stranger, Glenn.
Yeah, now I'll be on the other side of the counter.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Happy New Year. Okay, we got that, so. Administrators report.
Steve is here. I think, is that listed?
Do we have the public works?
Yeah.
No, we have Messerschmitt.
She's not here, yeah.
Steve Messerschmitt.
Oh,
Steve
he's not
Bukowski
here.
should be here just in a second.
Steve is here. Goodness gracious.
You were forgotten. I have it here.
Good morning.
Morning, Steve.
I wanna find
Got
this.
a couple of items here. Not sure which one. I think we'll start with the approve of policy for federal procurement policy for federal funds for Morrison County. I think we talked about this a little bit at the planning session, and I'm hoping this will satisfy the requirements. Hopefully it will.
Gentlemen, I need a motion.
So moved, Mr.
I
Chair.
need a second. Any more discussion?
Mr. Chair, with doing this, Steve, I just have to kind of refresh my memory again. This is to get the best bang for the buck, if you will. If Morrison County is purchasing this widget, doing it under this federal way,
Well, it's just a requirement that we do our due diligence in making sure that we spend the money that we get from them in the best way possible.
very good, very good.
Any more discussion, gentlemen? Not those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And the other item is, is to approve, in regards to our GASB 54 requirements, our policy is to approve our assigned, restricted, committed fund balances for 2016.
Gentlemen, I need a motion. I got a motion, I need a second. I have a second. Any more discussion?
Sure, can you kind of explain that again for me one more time, very briefly? Gatsby? What?
Well, it was a
what
new
that is?
requirement. GASB is a governmental accounting standards boards that come out with new pronouncements and requirements every year.
And acronyms.
Yep, and it says we
And
have
one of
to
them
have
is our
so
fund
much money.
balance. We had to redo our fund balance policy, and then every year, as part of that, we have to address what we're gonna set aside in fund balances as assigned, restricted, or committed, which is a different level of fund balance, I guess. Assigned, you know, you as a board will assign it, but you as a board have more control over that as far as, you know, say if it's assigned for a certain project and all of a sudden your needs may change and you want to assign it for another project, you have the right to do that within those assigned fund balances.
Okay.
Restricted, not so much. That's pretty much restricted to, we have state money and it's restricted for certain purposes. That's all it can be used
Yep.
for. Like Eileen's technology money, it's restricted for her purposes only.
Yeah.
I think Brian has a restricted one for forfeitures, that's just restricted for his purposes, can't be used for anything else, and you can't tell him really what to do with that money, so.
Excellent.
And then the committed is just, it's what we've committed as a board or as a county for a project or something like that. They're all got different meanings, but they all end up in the same, and they're all listed, there was a listing of them too that I, and so that's kind of what we do every year, to put money aside, to save in the, you know, for projects that, so we don't have to levy any new money. We can use this money to pay for things moving forward. And we've done that quite frequently, and we've been doing this for a long time, since I've been here, so.
Excellent, thank you very much.
Any more discussion, gentlemen? I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
That's all I
That's
have.
it, Steve, thank you.
Thank you
You
very
too.
kindly, Steve, happy New Year.
Public Works, please.
We're on a roll with Steve's.
Steve, yeah.
Probably would have been a good idea just to stay.
Good morning again.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, everyone. Okay. Our first. Requested action. We have previously been requested by the City of Pierce and the Rich Prairie Sewer and Water District to include in our 2020 Transportation Improvement Plan a municipal improvement so that they can make improvements to their sewer and water where they're having issues with especially freeze up of their water system. And so at that time, we've adopted that. We have it moving into, or we have it in our transportation improvement plan for that year. So we are starting the process of that, the development of that project. This agreement between the three parties and lays out the terms and conditions of who's responsible for what as we develop those plans for that project. And so our request is that the board would authorize the agreement so that we can keep that on track for that year's construction.
More discussion, I need a motion and a second. I have a motion.
I'll second it.
And I have a second from Commissioner Johnson. Any more discussion, gentlemen?
Mr. Chair, and when these gentlemen were here a couple of months back, I made it very clear that the really positive things that they've done in, as far as addressing their water, stuff is so important. Retention ponds, they're not running a majority of the runoff into the Skunk River, just very good stuff for the environment, so very much positive, so. very
Any more
supportive.
discussion, gentlemen? If not, I have a motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, the next requested action is your consideration of an agreement with the City of Pierce for sponsorship of their development of a Pierce Loop Trail project within the city. Small cities are eligible for funding for programs called Safe Routes to Schools and also transportation alternative projects. Those projects help support and fund improvements to their sidewalk system, installation, construction of trails so that walking and allowing alternatives for kids to get to school using those systems. The City of Pierce has a comprehensive trail plan that they are working towards different segments of development on. they have a segment that will parallel County State Aid Highway 43 and 39, which we just entered into the agreement on, that they are looking to apply for federal funds to construct that, a separated trail along that segment. Potentially a separated trail, it may be right along the edge of the curb and gutter. How that design ends up, it'll be coordinated with the project if the funding comes through. But in order for them to be able to apply for that, the county needs to sponsor them because the funding would come through the county. The small cities are not able to have those federal dollars funneled directly through them. So this agreement would authorize an agreement between the county and the cities to allow that to happen, and then they will proceed with making an application through Region 5 for transportation alternative funds.
Gentlemen, for more discussion, I need a motion. I had a motion of
I'll
Mr.
second.
Wilson and second Commissioner Muller. Any more discussion, gentlemen?
Well, Mr. Chair, these partnerships with small cities are so important, and these systems within cities are just a big part of encouraging walking and biking and those kinds of things, which are really healthy activities for our communities, so.
All right, any more discussion?
Mr. Chair, just for clarification, Steve, we're like the go-through person, the money exchanger here. This isn't a cost, this is funds that would come but are filtered through the county, kind of.
There is some expense to the department,
Okay.
it isn't that, there isn't anything. We process the payments to the contractor.
Yep.
So we have staff time involved
Yep.
with that. We will verify their quality control, quality assurance, that the proper testing is being done for materials, concrete, bituminous, all those things involved in their portion of the project. We normally, since we'll have the other project going, have just done that without expense to them because it's relatively minor, I would
Yep.
say, in that situation. So there is some expense to the small cities to do this.
Okay.
But it's that type of thing. They will be required to bring a consultant on, develop the plans. The real the bulk of it that has the cost to it is their costs and is payment, is things that we are not involved in.
Very good.
Any more discussion?
Yeah.
Commissioner Johnson?
We're just a sponsor, I mean, right, Steve? We're sponsoring it.
They have to go through us. We have some obligations. This agreement really passes those obligations on to the city by agreement between us. That's what this agreement does too.
Any more discussion, gentlemen? If not, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Mr. Chairman, we have included in your packet resolution adopting the 2017 tip and service fee for the Morrison County Solid Waste Management Facility. We are proposing no increase to those two different fees. They are separated because the service fee is utilized for certain aspects of what takes place at the facility and are not taxable. So the remediation of the landfill that we're conducting, we utilize a bulk of the service fee to pay for that. We utilize the service fee to support a household hazardous waste program, the recycling programs at the landfill, those type of activities. And so they're exempt from the tax when they come through the landfill. Now, the tax is pretty substantial. The solid waste management tax is 17%. Most of that is collected by the haulers. So the haulers are exempt out at the landfill from paying the tax to us, and they remit it directly to the Department of Revenue through their reporting process. But self-haulers that come through the facility do have to remit the tax to us, and then we remit it to the Department of Revenue. But that is why we have this separation between the service fee and then the tip fee is utilized for the operations. The tip fee can really be utilized to the discretion of the county board. It is because the tax is paid on that. And so most of the tip fee, though, is utilized for things that the service fee is not eligible for, which is operations of the landfill, building a state-of-the-art facility. You can't use the service fee for those things. So our request is that the board would adopt the 2017 tip and service fee resolution, which leaves it the same as last year.
I have a motion, a second. This will be a roll call vote. I need a second, please. Commissioner Wilson is the second. Any more discussion?
Well, Mr. Chair, and Steve just said this, we have a state-of-the-art landfill. You know, we completed a new cell a couple of years back, and I think we were 200,000 under budget due to planning by previous boards. We have our own clay pit, and, I mean, all those things, and that proactive response and getting this stuff in place has saved the county thousands and thousands of dollars. And the other side of that is I think Todd County's at what? What's their household fee?
I believe it's $40.
Is it 40, and Crowing's at what? I mean,
There are 25 there.
yeah, we don't have one, and I mean, we run this very well, and thanks to your department and working together. So these partnerships are so important, so thank you for all you do.
If you may, Steve, I've heard the haulers are putting like a little brochure for the city that they're gonna offer them another option or something like that?
They were conducting a survey. Currently, the city is split in north and south, and they are on a bag system where you buy the bags and then you fill your bag up and then you put it out by the curb or wherever you're supposed to put it. There have been issues with some residents that would rather see a cart that's easier to transport, move to the end of the driveway or that type of thing. And so they were conducting a survey asking which system they would like, people would like better. I don't think they've made the determination on whether it'll switch from one to the other, or they may offer both. So that's what that survey was
At least they're
going
giving
on.
them options, and that's a good thing, so. Any more discussion, gentlemen? If not, Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Commissioner Mauer?
Aye.
Commissioner Jelinski?
Aye.
Myself, aye. Motion carried.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. This is an update of the licensures for 2017. So I'll wait for that to go around.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Keeping all the paperwork.
Mr. Chair, and a question while we're passing these around. You know, we implemented a small hauler requirement, didn't we, a while back here?
We haven't taken that to completion yet.
We haven't, okay, I was just wondering where that's at. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, in your packet had included the applications and for solid waste hauler licenses, recyclable hauler licenses, and solid waste management facility licenses. We have updated that with this listing, and under the solid waste haulers licenses, we've received everything from those haulers that are listed. Contingent with Waste Management has gotten all their applications and everything in, submitted a copy of the check, but we have not received the check yet. Whether that comes in today's mail or not, that could happen. So that one, that's one piece of it that is not in place yet. We would ask that you would authorize the licenses contingent on us receiving that in time. If not, they'd become unlicensed hauler. And what happens is we switch them to the high tip fee at the landfill, and then we proceed with trying to, we'd proceed to try and work it through the county attorney if they don't get it in within a quick time. Also, we had asked that there was a question on one payment of property taxes, but I believe that has been resolved here just this morning, and so all of those that have made application have paid and are current on their property taxes at their facilities. On the recyclable haulers licenses, we have the listing also of all of those that have made application. There are SW Recycling and retrofit companies that have a couple of things of data that are left to be provided. On the recyclable haulers licenses, we do not have a charge to that. It's really more of a tracking issue with that, so we can maintain information on how much recyclable is coming out of our county. But if they do haul in our county, they would be in violation of that, and then we'd proceed to take that through the ordinance also. On the second sheet then, solid waste management facilities, we had Employment Enterprises, which was inspected in compliance, and Bergey's aluminum can recycling on the west side also. There were no applications made for demolition facilities. And as far as our solid waste facilities, the 2 transfer stations that are under variance with Central Minnesota Renewables were inspected and are in compliance. And so we would request that you would adopt issuing these licenses contingent on the discussion we had, and we will proceed with issuing those.
For more
So moved, Mr. Chair.
For more discussion, I got a motion and a second to renew all the solid waste haulers, recycling haulers, and facility operations based on what our county engineer said. Any more discussion?
Mr. Chair, simply, Steve, very good explanation, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. And then finally, I have an issue that we have discussed a number of times relative to our engineering technicians within the department. I think in those discussions, I've tried to convey that believe we have an issue with these positions and that they're in very high demand, and that demand continues to grow. We've discussed why we need those in terms of securing federal and state dollars, and that our certified technicians are needed in order to provide the quality assurance, quality control requirements needed to bring those funds into the county. We need them for program delivery and also to support our townships and small cities. We've had some discussion on whether it's better to have on-staff engineering technicians or consult some of this out. I think that what I tried to convey is the cost of consulting out, and my belief that we have a better product if we utilize our own in-house staff engineers to take a project from start to finish. A question was raised on the cost of consulting. I did look at, because we do use some consultants on specialty work out at the landfill. Engineering technicians are typically charged out by our consultants between $90 and $120 an hour. We're about half of that when we provide services to the townships and cities. And so we also we're finding that the top end of our pay scale for our most seniors technicians that have the most expertise and experience, qualified in AutoCAD design and also the certification requirements, was near the bottom of competitive counties, competing counties that surround us and are contiguous to us. And so our goal was that we would retain, we'd put something in place to make sure that or try to retain and keep those folks in our system as best that we can. And so we wanted to try and keep that scale, that top scale, closer to who we are competing with. And so what we had proposed and what is before you is the creation of the engineering tech senior position, which once our engineering techs reach a certain point in terms of experience, proficiency, and certifications, they would be able to move to a higher grade that would get them 2 additional steps before they reach their peak. And so that is before you. That went to the consultant for the process of rating that position based on the job description, and that came in, or was included in your packet, so.
Gentlemen, I need a motion, a second for more discussion. I have a motion.
Second.
And I have a second. Any more discussion?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, I'll go.
Commissioner Johnson.
Steve, yeah, you know, and we want to keep doing work with, you know, townships and all that, so I can see, you know, we don't have much choice. You know, I mean, this is a better thing, you know, and then you can keep doing it, rather than, you know, we don't do it and turn it over to consultants, you know, then the townships really spend a lot of money, so.
I think you'd find that the townships and cities maybe would avoid some of the projects that they would probably get into.
Sure. Yeah.
Just because of that.
Yeah.
I don't know, that would be their discretion, but they
Right.
certainly have the opportunity to go another route if they wanted to.
Yep.
Commissioner Mauer.
Well, Mr. Chair, and, you know, we've done a lot of discussion on this, and we have basically become a training ground for these individuals, and then they move on to a different county and make more money, which is really sad, because we put in the effort, we get them trained, and they get their licensing or whatever, their criteria to be what they are, and then we lose them. You know, there was an article in the Morrison County Record that I have to mention regarding our budget being compared to Crow Wing County's budget. And very clearly, Steve, you bring in dollars out of the township funding and whatever else that isn't being used by other townships or other counties, and that increases our budget. That money is there, and you're using that. So because the budget goes up, doesn't mean that we are taxing the people higher. You're bringing dollars in that other counties aren't. We need these positions to be able to do that. Otherwise, we contract out for them, they're costing us more, and they're costing the townships more. So, that being said, we need to keep up with this to bring those dollars into the county to provide the services, the bridges, the culverts, and that stuff that we really need to do. So, thank you.
I think that's a very good point too, because as you look at how funding, future funding through both the federal government and state government, the direction that they've taken, it hasn't been a gas tax. And when you get a gas tax, it goes in the highway trust fund and it goes through a distribution process and you're assured of money. Each county gets a certain portion of that. What it's gone to is like the local road improvement program, where you have to be competitive. You have to submit a project and then you have to go through a process and compete in order to get the funding. And there's a lot of work involved to get to that point. And if even the bonding money is tied to that in some ways, so that if you don't have the ability to put that together and make good applications, we're not gonna see outside revenues come in to support our transportation system. Some counties actually have taken that position, we haven't. We've brought a lot, if we didn't have the federal dollars especially that we've brought in, you wouldn't have the road system that you have today. It has made that big of a difference.
And I look at this here too, if we have to do the outside work, have somebody, we're at their mercy to bring in these county engineers or senior techs, as they say. And again, I think, I'm all for this here, is that we give the service to, again, like Commissioner Johnson said, that to the townships, the cities. So again, I'm for it.
What I like about that aspect of it, usually they're relatively small projects. Like one in your district, the state park account for Richardson Township, it's only a $50,000 grant that they received that we can utilize as fillers for when we have breaks within the department. The King Road project, it's a relatively small project for Belle Prairie Township. It's a good filler, so our guys, it helps us to manage them and make sure they're busy too.
And Mr. Chair, if I may, what we've been talking about here is townships, townships, townships. We haven't said one word about the county. What the benefit to this position or these certified techs are to the county, minus the townships, to the county road system. I personally believe it's second to none. So,
Mr. Chair, if I could, we don't take adjustments or changes to our compensation plan lightly. We make sure that we have data that supports it. We make sure that it makes good business sense to do that. So, you know, I just want to make that clear across the organization that any changes that are made are really supported by hard data and business decisions. I think nobody will argue the fact that, you know, we've got good jobs here at the county. We've got, you know, a solid, stable environment as employees to work here. But we also have employees that have options and that are qualified to do many things in life. So I want to just kind of point that out, that it's not without thorough analysis that suggestions like this are brought forward or ideas are brought forward, because we know the cost impact and we pay attention to that. But we do make sound business decisions when it comes to that cost and don't take that lightly at all, in terms of making sure that we're good stewards of tax dollars. So I just
Commissioner
wanted to
Wilson.
that.
I just agree with everybody. I'm not gonna repeat what everybody said, but I agree that this is something we should do because it's the best interest of the county.
Well, Mr. Chair, and you know, the unique thing about this position, set apart from a lot of others in the county, is that you can connect the dollars brought in to pay for this position. That's unique about this, so, yeah, we need this.
Any more discussion? If not, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you very much. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you,
All right,
Steve. Happy
thank
New
you.
Year.
New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, I'll be here. You two folks.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, back to administration.
All right, the first action item I have is the office support supervisor position is vacant, and we have a potential hire that's coming on board. And the request is to deviate from our compensation plan and hire at a step 5 instead of a step 4. The primary reason to provide this request is, number one, we have an incredibly experienced person coming back to the county who left and is coming back for this position. So the training, the investment into the employee at the outset is not going to be as high. But secondly, this person isn't para or is already para-retirement eligible, or they're earning para-retirement. So we don't pay into para for this individual, and we won't. And that's something we work through. It's an option. It's all on the up and up in that regard. But that saves dollars per employee. There's a cost to the county to pay into para in addition to the employee and what they pay. So with that, we're requesting that be considered and offer this.
Gentlemen, for more discussion?
Higher as step 5.
So moved.
I need a motion, and I got a motion and a motion from Commissioner Wilson, second Commissioner Jelinski. Any more discussion?
Not for me.
All right, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
All right. Request to have EMS Advisory Committee member Martha Healy and the alternate member Betsy Lundquist, I can't talk, appointed for a 2-year term, 2017.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second for more discussion. If not, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
All right, and then a year goes by in the flash of an eye, right, and Mr. Chair. Thank you for your work as chair in 2016. We appreciate it. You've been relatively easy to work with. For the most part. We have a certificate of appreciation here for you, Randy. So thank you for your service.
Thank you.
And moving forward in 2017.
And we don't need a motion or a second on this.
No.
Let's move on.
Somebody,
Should we do a picture? Maybe you and
Yes, a
I
picture.
come out, is that okay?
Randy, somebody.
You know what, I would love to have my picture taken with maybe another county commissioner back there.
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to say thank you to Kevin Mahler for serving the county for the past years. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, Tommy.
And I also want to wish all of you a happy new year and thank not only the Morrison County Commissioners, but your staff, all of the employees of Morrison County keeping the county running so smooth. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tom.
And then I also heard through the grapevine that there may be donuts here today.
Thanks, Tom.
Are we,
very much.
are we staying?
Appreciate it. So where are we going?
I'd like to get a picture of the board here.
Yeah.
For shootout
Just
and
smile.
stuff.
Oh, Randy.
I will,
One,
yeah, yeah.
three.
Whole board just sitting right here.
Not looking at me,
Oh,
but
look at
I know, I was looking at Tyler on that one.
Sorry.
Ready, go.
All right, Tyler.
There you go,
You
the
got it.
picture. Was I looking up?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
as long as Tabitha's got her camera out, I wonder if we could take a 2016 picture of the board.
Sure, if we could just wait 1
We
minute.
will.
And I want to also say that, Kevin, thank you for your years of service with Morrison County. I think you have done a very good job of making sure we're answering questions, making sure we're completing all of the steps we need to complete. And it's been appreciated what you've brought to the board. And I wish you the best. And I've learned a lot from you, and it's been fun getting to know you and what you brought. So thank you for that. And we wish you the best, and I have a little plaque for you.
Do we need a motion for this one? No, maybe.
So, thank you, and I appreciate it.
Kevin, I just wanted to, again, it was pleasure working with you. I really enjoyed your input and keeping us, especially myself, on my toes as far as environmental things, the water. You did a tremendous job, and I will miss that truly, so.
Thank you, Randy.
Thank you.
I have to say the same
Thank
thing.
you.
I appreciate the
Everything you
knowledge you
did.
brought to the board
Yeah.
on issues. I appreciate that a lot.
And we all will, but I'm gonna miss that jab that you keep giving me with those long arms.
Maybe we'll take a quick photo
All
of
right.
this one too, if you
Just
don't
what
mind.
it is.
But I
Are we gonna
Let's just
I did
squeeze
both
in.
sides,
right here.
so-
Oh,
I'd like,
Yeah.
both sides.
You did.
here,
Oh,
you
oh,
wanna, yeah, just maybe do one here. with
Yes,
me, if you
that'd be
don't mind,
fine.
And then we'll take over the board.
we're gonna move over close time, huh? You feel like,
yeah, we're kind of squeezing in.
you feel the pressure?
Exactly.
All right, and then let's take the whole board here. All right, you got this.
Big.
Oh, I don't wanna get too close to
No,
this.
let's take your jacket off back, hold on a second.
All right.
Yeah, let's take that jacket off.
Ready?
This is a
One,
well-oiled
two,
machine here.
smile. Got it.
Thank you.
Fantastic, thank you.
All right. And
Mr. Chair,
anything else?
outside of just next Tuesday, we'll have the first meeting of the year, and I'll call the meeting to order. Remember, we elect a board chair and a vice chair, and then we turn that over and begin again. So, thank you again, and Happy New Year to everyone.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I want to thank you all. I've thoroughly enjoyed this. Working with you and being elected and being a county commissioner has been an honor to me. So I've enjoyed serving the people and I've enjoyed working with you all. We haven't always agreed, but it's never been personal. So thank you so much and for your support. I appreciate it.
Kevin, thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
And moving forward, we will not be doing the committee reports, because we'll be doing them
Tuesday.
Tuesday the 3rd, right?
Nice.
Okay. Anything else, gentlemen? If not, I will personally make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Any more discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. 9:55. We got you.